Claire from Cot Pens, and our workshop this evening will be led by the Italian artist Naomi Vona, who's going to tell us a bit more about herself and her other name in a little bit. She's going to be introducing us to the wonderful world of MT tape and using it in ways that we might never have thought of. And we're big fans of it at Cot Pens, so I'm fascinated to see what else we could be doing with it other than our usual journaling and stickering pages and things like that. So I'm going to be handing over to Naomi in just a moment. But before I do, a few bits of the usual housekeeping. So if you've joined some of our workshops before, you will know most of this already. But just to say that the session is being recorded. Now, don't panic. All cameras and sound are switched off for the duration of the session, apart from those of us presenting and talking to you. So if you do have any questions, we really love questions, makes the session a lot more interactive, then you can use the Q&A function that should also be at the bottom of your screen. There's various bits, and if it's not there, click the three dots that say more. There's a Q&A function in there, and there's also the chat function as well. So yeah, please post, and Anna from the Cot Pens team is with me, and we will do our very best to answer your questions as we go through. And we are also hoping that we can very gently interrupt Naomi with a few questions as we go along with that as well, but we'll try not to be too disruptive. So we think the session's going to last about an hour. So get yourself comfy, settle in a little bit. If you're like me, have a blanket at the ready, because it's been ritually lately. And with a bit of a drum roll, I'm going to hand over to, that was not a good drum roll, sorry. I'm going to hand over to Naomi. I'm sure many of you know Naomi already, but let's start with a little introduction. All about yourself, please, Naomi, and tell us how you come to be here this evening talking to us about lots of creative loveliness.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for inviting me to Cot Pens and MT. My name is Naomi Vona. I'm an Italian artist based in London, and what I basically do is to mix and match three elements. It's like photography, illustration, and collage to create very peculiar works. And I love to use vintage pictures. But lately I'm also using contemporary images as well, and found images for me are very fascinating. I used to call them forgotten memories because most of the images that I use are both from eBay or from charity or vintage shops. So it's like everybody are getting rid of them, and I'm trying to just get them back, give them back a life, a new life. So that's why I really enjoy to use vintage photos, and we will use vintage photos as well here. And yes, I have an alter ego because on Instagram they know me as Mariko Koda, but it's just a name that I invented when I was a teenager. I never changed it because I'm connected with it and I love it. So that's why I have this name. But a lot of people say to me, but what's your real name? My real name is Naomi. Just to be sure that we are in line with that.
And where did the alter ego name come from?
So they come from a Japanese manga. That is a comic that I was crazy about it when I was a teenager, and it's a mix and match of two. It's the name of a character and the surname of another character from the same comics. And yes, I was so crazy about it that I created this alter ego that never changed in time since I was like 16, 17 years old. And a lot of my online friends know me as Mariko. That's why I have this kind of alter ego presence online. But I really enjoy the fact that they know me as Mariko there online. So yes, it's like it built my fantasy land. I love to, travel in time and space with the vintage photos, and I also like to mess up a little bit with my fantasy world. So That's
Love
why I
that.
love it.
I get
And
add
yes,
to the list of things to do, create
and
alter
time
ego.
travel stories are actually a great interest, and I always mention this like topic in my artworks as well. So if you want to know more, just let me know and I will.
Fabulous.
talk
And
about
we will share all the details so you can find out more about Naomi, her website, profile, etc. We'll share all of that in the chat, and Anna's doing it now, so everyone can have a look if they haven't already. I'm sure they have already.
And yes, if you want, I can share now my other screen so we can talk about.
Yes, fabulous.
Do the tutorial together. Okay.
Perfect.
Let me see if we can see.
Seamless.
Amazing. We just turn a little bit the camera so we can see the same things.
And I will just say, whilst you're doing that, Naomi, sorry to interrupt, the chat wasn't switched on properly at the start. Sorry, everybody. So if you want to keep posting where you are, it should now be on, and you can. So yeah, please let us know and post any questions as we go through.
All right, so what we were going to do is to use empty tape. It's one of the materials that I use as an artist. I really enjoy sticky materials, and I introduced them into my art practice since 2013. And I often use MT because it's a really good quality tape. So the brand name is this one. That means masking tape, but it's very well known as washi tape. And it's made of rice paper. So it's a paper tape. And it's a decorative tape, so you can use it to scrapbooking, decorating even furniture. And this company also makes very wide rolls of tape because you can actually also do like wallpaper. You can use it as wallpaper or to decorate interiors. And because it's a very good quality, you can attach and detach from any surface without leaving any glue behind. So I will show you. It's really nice because you don't ruin the surface and the glue stays in the tape. It's very sticky, but at the same time, you can remove it easily from the paper surface. Just keep in mind that if you use vintage photos, some kind of paper is very ruined or very thin, so be careful when you remove it and reattach it, just because it's delicate paper. But in general, if you attach and detach this from any other surface, it will just not ruin it at all. And because it's made of paper, you can also tear it off using just your hands. And during this tutorial, we will use just our hands. You don't need so many tools or skills, and it's child friendly because of that. and yes, I mean, you can do a lot of things, and they are also available in different colors and patterns, so you can personalize it a lot, your decoration. I love the fact that this tape is very well known for art journaling or scrapbooking, but as an artist, I use it for painting. So I use the tape as a way of painting. That's why I really enjoy this material. It gives me a lot of freedom, and I also developed different techniques. This is just one of the many kind of decoration that we can do, but if we have time and you are curious to know, I can show you also other techniques that I did with other samples that I have here at home, and you can ask me questions about them. And in general, for this tutorial, I can give you an overall list of what we will need. In my case, I picked a vintage photo, but it can be also a picture from a magazine. It doesn't have to be forcefully something like vintage. It could be any picture of your family if you want. Some washi tape, of course. I will use 3 for this session, but you can also just use a couple of them. It doesn't matter the number. Let's say that a minimum of 2 are required just to create some kind of nice decoration. A pencil. A round object, I have these two samples just to give you an idea. It could be a glass, a little pot, anything you have in your table, actually. And this is optional just because I will cut out nicely this part of the tape, a knife cutter and cutting mat. Let's say that if you don't want to use it or you don't have them, no worries, because you can just fold the tape behind your picture and it's done. You don't have to use it anymore. And yes, so let's start. As you can see, I picked something that is not too small. So let's consider this is an A4. So it's like a little bit smaller than an A5. In terms of size. What I want to do is to recreate this. So with my round shaped object, I will place the object in the area that I want to create the circle. And I will just trace the circle with my pencil. And that's it. We have our guideline where we can put the tape. And of course, what I want to do now is to create a sequence of colors. So I will start from this color and then go with the blue and the green. And I will follow this sequence to cover up the whole area. What I want to do is to tear it off with my hands, a small piece of tape. It could be, I would say, about 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeters. Doesn't have to be too small. And use the straight part, so the straight line of the tape, and place it following the pencil, the line that I trace. So I will start from here and then go around. What I want to do for the next application of the other tape is do the same, tearing it off, taking the straight part of the tape and overlapping slightly this tape to the other one, so we can create actually the decoration, the circle around. So there is no gap and overlap in between. And go on for until we just did the whole circle.
And because you're doing that with your fingers, Naomi, is that quite, you're just tearing, so that's quite forgiving on the edge then, that you've
exactly, yeah,
because you're overlapping.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be perfect. They don't have to be similar, but just be careful to try to get some consistency in the way we are tearing off the tape. That's it. The only thing that we need to care about it. But once we have our hand trained in the way we cut, we just need to be careful and create an overlap situation.
And you're trying to be consistent with the overlap, the gap that you're...
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Consistency is the key. Sometimes it's not easy at the first time. Sometimes if you never use this tape, what I could suggest, if you never use it before and you want to train a little bit, take an image from a magazine that you don't care about and try to do this kind of exercise in that, let's say, test image. As you can see, I can remove it if I don't want to, if I want to overlap a little bit more and create this kind of... Another thing to keep in mind that you can actually use a scissor or a knife cutter if you want a very even tape. You can cut it out nicely. I like this effect of tearing off, like this tiered effect. But if you want an even effect, you just cut out very nicely your tape and you have straight lines all the way through. And is also a way to personalize your style and the technique itself. So it doesn't have to be perfect or doesn't have to be like I'm doing. It can be very different from what I'm doing. a thing that I used to remember to my students is to take this lesson as a way to transform the technique in your own way and personalize the technique for your style and what you like to do. Because every one of us then has his own, you know, style and way to do things. This is not like a rule for, it's just a starting point for something different. And yes, this tape, I love the fact that this tape is so versatile. So once you have, you know, an idea, like I give you this kind of tip, but then you can create something different and completely new from it. And don't be afraid also to fail, or, you know, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. Every time also the students say to me, but you are doing so perfectly. Yes, but I have a lot of experience on my back now, so it takes some time.
And I'm asking this question slightly apprehensively, but how many rolls of washi tape do you have?
I have quite a lot, but because I was very lucky to work for MT since 2017. So they have been sponsoring, you know, all my events. So I was bringing a lot of tape there, and they allowed me to use incredible materials, even the wide versions that are amazing as well. So I have a lot of it, but when it will be when I will have the chance to have more offline events, we will be back to like doing events again. I will bring, you know, these tapes along with me so the students can enjoy them as well. So let's say that I like to share when it's possible.
Oh, that's nice. We've got, I think it's about 80, just over 80 different styles of MT tape in the range. But we definitely haven't got all of it. We're just doing a little bit of an exercise at the moment to work out what we're missing and what we should be adding. So yeah, it's very extensive.
Yeah, this kind of tape, let's say this is wide, 1.5 centimeters. This is the most common. They also have the thinner ones, but still, let's say that this is the most popular one. So it can be used for so many.
And do you have a favorite? Do you have like a design that they've done at some point that is kind of your go-to or your favorite design?
So let's say that I love patterns, but I prefer I like neon colors and pastel colors, because they also represent my color palette. And actually what I also try to teach is a way of picking the colors based on something that can represent your style. And in my case, neon, pastel, and neutral colors put together represent very well my style. So let's say that this work, for example, represents a lot what I meant. Like people can recognize also my works through my color palette. So let's say this kind of colors are my favorite one to use, but I don't mind using also all these beautiful patterned tapes when possible, but I used to mix them with plain colors most of the time. So and because I am an 80s kid, neon colors are really fascinating to me. So
I'm a bit older than that, but I like a bit of neon as well. I also use some MT for Christmas, because I got one of their Christmas themed ones just for a bit of fun really, and ended up using that on quite a lot of the Christmas wrapping and some cards, and yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah, actually you can use it a lot for these kind of decorations, and You can use like craft paper to decorate with tape, and then pack up your Christmas presents with them. That's another good idea. Doing cards as well. I mean, you can also transform these photos in cards for the holidays or for a birthday party. As you can see, it's something that you can repeat over and over. You have just to be careful that you overlap in a way that it's nice to see. But after that is done, I mean, after that you can just do it by yourself and have a nice result. And say that the circle is, let's see if you can show. And another beautiful thing about the tape is that it gives a three-dimensional, feeling to the picture that I really enjoy, because it's popping out from the bidimensional world. That's why I love taping up stuff all over it. And now what I can do is just maybe picking just a couple of these tapes and placing them down here, or maybe just one in this case, I don't know, maybe, yeah. It's something that it's a feeling, it's not something that you have to do forcefully. It's a way for me to complete and to add something down here. But you can also leave it like that if you like it. And then I will cut out the extras. As you can see, it's very up to you. And another thing that I used to say, because this tape is very good quality, you can keep the leftovers in a place like this, or even on, let's say, on your table, or on a kind of a plastic sheet, something that you can keep everything there and reuse them, because they're still very sticky. They will stay there and you can reuse them. So don't throw away any leftover of it. And this is the final result. You can see that. Simple but effective.
Lovely. It does bring texture. As you say, 3D.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the more you use it in a way that you just use your hands, for example, if you tear it off with your hands and then apply it over, it will give more and more sense of three-dimensionality. But if you want, I can show you other techniques, other samples, so you can see that there are so many ways. You can also do like very geometric works, and at the same time you can still create this kind of three-dimensional effect that is very nice. Maybe let me just put this through. I have some samples here because I did a lot of these washi tape events a while ago. So these are all similar to this one, but not different at all. But for example, here you have this kind of strange effect that gives you, it's like a curtain, a space-time portal that you place over, and then you can create this effect.
That's a fantastic effect. It's got this translucency to the tape that doesn't break up the picture. That's fabulous.
And another thing that I love, that if you use light colors, in this case I use a neon yellow, you can still see through. So it gives you this idea that it's a kind of a curtain. So in this case I use a very, let's say, a darker color, but you can still see through. and a lighter one. So you can play also with the transparency of the tapes. So the light colors are always the best for this effect. And maybe I can show you other samples where you can still see through. This is another kind of effect where you
Oh, wow.
basically keep on the side here, and then you do a kind of a decoration. Let me see, these are others of the same, with the same technique. And yeah, for example, this tape was a little bit thinner, but the others that I used are same thickness of the one that we use today. So this is another kind of idea that you still see through, and the tape moves like it's something in another dimension, let's say that. This is like very similar to what we did today, but instead of just placing the tape around, I just covered entirely the subject, and I kept the circle. So that's another idea where you can use the tape using this technique in a different way. So another thing that you can do in the circle is placing the tape. What I did here is to cover entirely the photo with the tape, and then I cut a circle out of it. For doing this technique, we have to be careful in cutting out the tape, because we have to cut the tape but not the picture. So yeah. That's the only thing that we need to be careful about.
Some practice needed for that one.
Exactly. So
yeah,
you can take a picture from a magazine again, try, but you can still see through. So it's nice if you use very light colors, and it gives you this kind of very nice effect. Same for this wedding picture. That's another technique that my students really love.
It's an amazing way to really really modernize what is some very old pictures.
Yes,
bringing them really up to date.
Yeah, every kind of black and white picture then can become, something different. But still, if you have like vintage photos that you want to give a push, I think that these techniques, and in general, this material, it fits perfectly with this idea of giving them a new life. This is like, if you use like smaller tapes, you have like a bigger effect, but still.
So how are you getting, someone's just asked the question as well, the clean, how are you cutting so precisely to get the clean lines and the crisp lines on some of these designs?
So for example, let's say that in this case, you just need to practice a little bit, because you will trace your circle on top of the tape that you used, and then with your like knife cutter, you have to just very careful to go down. What I would suggest is to use thick pictures, so you will not cut through the picture, like in this case, because it's very thick. It's like cardboard paper. So you will not be afraid to cut out the whole picture and practice a little bit on images that you don't care about it. So if you fail the first time or even the third, it's like, okay, I will try again, because it's all about pressure of the knife on top of the paper, because you have to cut just the tape.
And someone else has asked as well, when you start with the diagonal, when you're working on a diagonal, where do you start with the tape?
So for example, in this case, the starting point is always the top. So the first two lines of tape are from here. You have to decide, usually it's a little bit on the top of half, because you don't want to cover the subjects. You want to have them fully visible. So you start from here and then you go down. So you cover everything, it's down the lines that you created before. You can see that I don't want to cover their faces, so I started from placing these two crossed tapes and then going down. This is another case where you place the tape all over in vertical, and then you cut through just a line instead of a circle. So you just cut and have this effect. And as always, I've used light colors because the light colors will allow me to see through.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a playful thing, and you can experiment a little bit and do whatever you want. And this is just a simple cut. You can actually think about, I don't know, if you like flowers, you can create a flower shaped cut all on top of it. And this is a way to personalize the technique. And I mean, that's the point of it. There is also like another way to create a circle. So I create a circle just doing what we did today with a pencil. And then I place the tape and cut through the perfect circle. And as always, even in these cases, you can just use very light colors or patterned tape. So this other technique it's a little bit interesting because I've learned it just making some trials. What I did is just to place stripes of tape on my cutting mat. I place the tape here, then I draw with a pencil a circle. I cut through the circle, and then I carefully place the circle made of different stripes of the circle on top of an image. So this is a circle, but because I just created this distance in between, it became an oval in the picture. And it's a game. It's just a way to use the circle element in a different way. And instead of working on the image, I just created the circle in this area that you can remove easily your tape and then place the result on the picture. And still, it's just circle done with a lot of stripes of tape. That's another sample. Yeah, this is very similar to what we did today.
Are you measuring the gaps between when you're are you doing that just by eye?
They're not that precise, but still, if you want to do it very, nicely, I would just say, yeah, maybe you can use a ruler and just place them in the right position. But I didn't do anything like so. I didn't measure anything, but still, you can have a nice result. So it's up to you. So this one, it's a little bit more tricky because what you have to do is, what I would suggest is to use light colors, because then we have to cut out the silhouette of our subjects. So we need to see through in order to understand where the silhouette starts and ends. So it's a way to do things on the opposite. It's not like the collage where you cut through the silhouette and you place it on the stripes, but you put the stripes and then you remove the excess to create your decoration
with a very steady hand.
Exactly. It's a different way of thinking about collage, because instead of adding, we remove from a picture, or we add, but in a way that is not cutting through the image, but working on the image itself.
How long would it take you to do that one that you just had, or this one of the girls, like to cut around in that way? Yeah.
So let's say that it's not that difficult. You just need to be careful because the problem is that if you use dark colors, you will not see the silhouette anymore. So it takes maybe 5 minutes. I mean, it's a small picture, but what I would suggest is also to use an image that have a clean background, and the silhouette of your subject is very easy to see. Because if there are, for example, a lot of trees or elements behind the subject, you will struggle then to understand where to cut through and to have this clean effect, let's say that. Or another way could be, but you will see that to trace with a pen just the silhouette, so you can still see through the image, and then remove the extra tape from the subject. This is another way to help yourself. The only difference is that you will see your line of a pen when you finish, but still, if you like the effect, you can keep it like that.
That has quite an interesting effect on the picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, these are very similar to what we saw before. So this kind of tricky effect with the tapes. This one is very simple, actually, but I love it because it gives you this, again, this kind of curtain that you create on top of the
That's lovely.
And you just have to tear off the tape in vertical. So we'll just show you because it's so simple. So I will take maybe a piece like that, and then I will just do something like that. You have some stripes, and then you place them where you want. And you can use as many tape as you want, different colors, and you can work on playing around. And I love the fact that also, you use your hands. It's very small efforts in terms of technique, but you can still have a very, very nice final effect. And maybe here it's just about, picking the colors that you like and make them work together. But
that's lovely. It's got a confetti sort of celebration, streamers, party element to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's so simple and it's playful. This is what we want to achieve. That's another way to play with different kind of wide tapes, like the small. This is the ones that we use today. But still, I didn't do that much. This is not like a precise work. I just placed some tapes in diagonal lines and cut through the image in a way that you can create this three-dimensional effect, and use mostly light colors just because I wanted to have the see-through effect. It is what I enjoy the most. In here is still the circle, but the tape is not cut in stripes. But what I did is to tear it off in little pieces and then place them inside the circle. I always start from the outside and then going slowly into inside, using different colors or patterned tapes. So this is another effect where you can decorate inside your circle using teared off tape. This is like similar to what we did today, but what I used is not the wide, it's not the straight line of the tape like we did today. So it's not the straight line, but the other one that is not irregular. So the other side of the tape to recreate this less regular circle. So you see that even if the technique is practically the same, you can create a different effect. This is more, geometric, maybe ordered, and this is a little bit more playful. That's another option to cover up with the horizontal take the subject, so the part of the subject here.
And someone's asked, Naomi, what pen are you using when you're tracing an image?
So in that case, I think I use a gel pen. I don't know if you know the Sakura.
Yes.
Sakura Jelly Roll pen.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't, because usually these kind of gel pens are they are not slippery over photographic papers. So that's why they're very good. And I use them also to decorate these kind of pictures in general. So they are very good in general for decorating over images and especially pictures like vintage pictures. Because I always remind everyone that not all pens work on this kind of papers. So when you find the right ones, you have to
sticking with it.
Exactly. So this one is the same technique that I use for, like, I place my tape into a surface like a cutting mat, and I place a lot of diagonal, a lot of tape all over to create this diagonal effect. So these are all lines that go in different directions. And when I'm happy with it, that everything is covered, I just cut through a circle in here, remove all the tapes altogether, and then place them on the picture. So it's a way to adding an element to it. And that's the result. We just need to be careful to remove the whole bunch of tapes together. So we cut very nicely our circle and then remove the whole, so we can get the nice circle. And we can place it over the picture like this. So you can see this all done with this technique. Yeah, these are a lot. Let's go back to. And yes, if you want to see particular other technique that I show you, if there is time, of course, I can show you.
I think we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah. So let me see. What would you like to see? What kind of technique?
I think as well as the pictures, I know you do a lot of collage work and other things. So what's the biggest sort of size that you've done or piece that you've done, and how else are you using MT in other ways as well?
Yeah, I usually mix and match like the tape with stickers that are like dotty stickers and pens. So my elements are basically acrylic pens, gel pens, washi tape, and stickers. These are my main materials. So that's the do you want to see like a work where you can see all the materials together?
Yes, that would be lovely, because I think that will give people ideas of how to layer and use the tape and other materials as well.
Of course. So let me just see something. So I will show you something more contemporary, just because it's on my hands and it's easier, because I'm using a magazine. But I use the tape and the interaction between them, so you can have an idea that interaction between these elements, these materials is very good. I'm covering a magazine, so this is a fashion magazine, and I'm transforming it into an art journal. This is tape, and these are stickers. So this is the application of them. Wow. And then I have acrylic pens on the background. And for the small decorations, I use also gel pens. For example, this line, this underline here, it's a gel pen, a Sakura one, and all the rest is done with acrylic pens that are very.
Anything in particular you're using as an acrylic pen?
Yes, I use Posca, Molotov, Edding.
Yeah.
And Schneider. a lot. Most of them are from Posca and Molotov, but I'm also introducing different brands because they are very good, all of them.
Yeah.
They interact very well between each other. They cover well the surfaces, and because I use vintage photos or existing images from all over the place, for me it's good because acrylic pens have to be, you know, well covering, you know, they have to do the job.
Yes.
And of course, then you have tape that is also a nice element that can cover up nicely what is beneath the images. And
So
as always, there is always the element of three-dimensional effect that I really enjoy.
So you described this as your art journal, this
Yes.
magazine. So just tell me a little bit more about that.
So basically, I started to work on magazines while I was a uni student. I really enjoyed to paint over models because for me we're like soulless elements. They didn't have any personality, so I tried with the pens to give them like a sort of new life, as I do with vintage photos, but in this case, kind of a personality. And then this kind of study was left there while I was a student in 2002, 2003, a long time ago. But then a few years ago in 2017, I wanted to participate to an Instagram challenge called the 100 Days Challenge, where you basically for 100 days, you share a project that you start from scratch. And for me was the creation of a magazine that is not this one, but another one. I will just, let me show you because it's easier for me. What I did is like sharing a page of this magazine every day for 100 days. But then
I do the whole magazine from front to back.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is completely covered.
Wow.
There is no page that has been teared off or glued together. So the whole pictures, the whole advertising, the whole content has been completely transformed in order to transform the advertising into something more meaningful and connected also to topics that are meaningful to me, like feminism, and also the fact the fashion industry is basically exploiting, you know, our insecurities. And I did also workshop about it. Since I started this project, I also did workshops about this idea of transforming a meaningless paper element like this to something more meaningful. So that's why now I'm doing a new art journal using this technique. And I always involve the use of these materials as well. So I'm restarting from scratch with a new magazine, and this magazine started while I was doing online workshops. So every workshop was a page done.
I'm sort of astounded by it. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you can see that I love the fact that also is a way for me to express myself. It's a healing process. It's a way just, you know, to try to heal from anything that is mental illness or. So I encourage people to use this as well for, you know, just release the stress and problems.
That was going to be my question. What from doing this, it's clearly a creative outlet for you, and I think the magazine as the art journal demonstrates that. But do you get that sense of mindfulness from doing that? What else do you get from the process? Because it is incredible.
It's really relaxing. I would say that also a lot of students agreed with me with the fact that after you do this, you keep calm a little bit, especially I suffer from anxiety. So for me, it's a way just to, you know, focus on something that is like creating a pattern and continue to work on it. Repetition, it really works well when you have this kind of problem, let's say that. But it's nice also because you create something from scratch. And another thing that is encouraging for the students is the fact that you start from an image that is already there, and you add decoration. So it's very fulfilling, because at the end you have a very nice result, even if you are not an artist. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
And it helps you out if you want, of course. It's not a way to developing a technique, of course, but it's also a way to, releasing the stress. And I mean, it's playful, but also meaningful at the same time.
I love it. I also love the idea. I mean, I've got stacks of magazines in the house, all different kinds, that get cleared. They go in the rubbish, right? They go in the recycling at some point. So the fact that you can use them in a completely different way, and go back to some old ones and breathe some new life into some of that imagery, is fascinating as well, from a sort of recycling, upcycling point of view.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can actually then bring with yourself this, or you can also, say, okay, it's a magazine. You can do it, transform it into a journal, and you can work page by page. You don't have any rush, but still it's a project that is already there. You can work on it anytime you want, and play around like the idea of making something good about something that was not that good before.
We make no comment on the quality of Vogue magazine or any others, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's always, the point is always giving a new life to these pictures, and in this case also give back, like a kind of a sort of beauty.
Absolutely. And have you got, so you've obviously been doing this for a while. Do you keep these, it's as a journal, as you would a diary, to look back on? Because I would assume then your style and your techniques are evolving over time as well.
Yes, as you can see, this is my first experiment. So there is more about, it's more about, trying different things. I did different techniques in here. There is also now I'm not working on the text page here, but when I will start, it could be something like that, where you introduce also opinions, or in general things that can, you can create an interaction between what you read and what you actually want to see. But yes, this is like different because it's a project that actually was just a way for me to experiment. It's very different from what I'm doing now. Now it's a little bit more thoughtful, maybe, or I mean, I'm trying also to develop the technique and trying to stick to some kind of patterns or colors. I mean, it could be like that. While here it was more wild. But still, I mean, it's part of the process. This started in 2017 and ended in 2020. So it took me quite a long time to do it.
It's fabulous though.
Yeah, it's like, it's a lot of work, but I would say that it's been worth it because of the fact that then I brought to the workshops this project. It's not just something that you do for yourself. What I wanted to do, like bring it out, share it with others, because it was for me important also to share the message and help out in my way. But yes, as you can see, there is a gap in terms of, maybe I refined the technique because it was like, but still I'm trying to keep myself into it, but it's more refined. That's the only difference. And as always, I try to use more the tapes and the stickers in all the pictures that I'm using.
Which stickers are you using?
These are like Dotty stickers. I buy them on Amazon, but they are very, they have no brand.
I think we've got some Stalogy ones that might be like that little.
Yeah, exactly. The Stalogy could be perfect because they have the same size of them. I know which one are they. They are very good. These are not good as Stalogy, but they're still like very, random paper stickers, and you can find them everywhere, even in a kind of, art shop, stationery shop. I mean, nothing so expensive or complex.
Well, and as you say, if you've got some pens that will the acrylic pens to go over, you can kind of start there as well if you want to.
Yeah, the acrylic pens, the Posca, are actually very, very good. They are the one that I have more experience with, so I would say Posca are very good because of that. But I mean, the other brands that I'm starting to use are also very nice. I just have less experience with them. That's it. But yeah, they all make the job, and especially over glossy pages like these, they keep their brightness, so they don't fade away. So yes. And I mean, a sample on how to use tape in a creative way is also when you just, I wanted to use some tape to just distinguish the arm from the rest of the body. So this could be an idea of trying to create also, kind of three-dimensional effect where the tape helps you out in achieving this effect.
And where you don't have a model, I think one of the editorial, perhaps someone's just asked the question, where you don't have the model and that isn't the main focus, what does that inspire you to do? What kind of things come out of that?
So it's the context, because everything is about what's beneath the picture and what I can do in order to put in attention to it. Or you can create abstract works like I did here. This is all tape. So I covered with acrylic pens the background, and then I did an abstract work. So this is an option that you can do if you're not inspired at all, and still it's a nice thing. Or when they are like, this is like a perfume, so you can do a new advertising of it. Again, this was a very boring picture, but I transformed it and I paired up with this darkness perfume. So as you can see, you can get really creative, creating abstractions or new advertising on top of the old one.
And the paper withstands, I'm just thinking about magazine paper, in my hands, not being always the thickest, but it withstands the acrylic pens well. So it doesn't,
yes, as you can see, this is not a good quality magazine actually, because I'm using now a Vogue that is very beautiful because it's very thick compared to the paper one.
Yeah.
But still you can cover both sides with the acrylic pens. So I would say that if you use the right pens, you will not have any problems because it stays there. Of course, it's more delicate because it's falling apart. But you can still, this is like washi tape. It looks like painting, but this is just tape, washi tape from MT.
The doodle, the squiggles. Yeah. Oh, lovely.
And that's another thing that I love, that you can do like, this is also washi tape. This here in the background is always empty.
Lovely.
Yeah,
and the outline there works really well actually on that image. It's amazing.
And it's fun. I mean, I would just say if anyone wants to start on our journal, just take a magazine.
Yeah, that's a brilliant. I mean,
take a magazine and have fun because it's really worth it. And if you have any questions, I can help you out for the materials or anything like, and I will help out.
That's fantastic. We actually have one other very practical question. Someone said they find that washi tape lifts off at the ends. Any tips with that?
Lift up like lift
off at the ends. So I don't know if that's a jagged edge.
I have a sample.
Sorry, that's me.
So
and they're saying it peels away at the ends.
There it is. You see here, because I removed the gluey part, this is not very gluey, so it doesn't stays there. I will just do like that, remove a little bit or remove the whole piece of tape and redo again that the little part, because sometimes when you tear it off with your hands, the gluey area that is underneath has been teared off as well. It can happen. Just remove this piece of tape that is not gluey at all and do it again, or remove what you don't, it doesn't stick. But usually, let's say if you overlap nicely, it should stay there, because it's very gluey in general. It's just because we teared off the area that is not sticky anymore. So it's just something that you cannot control entirely, but you can just remove that piece of tape and redo it again with a new piece of tape, of the same tape.
Amazing. Thank you, Naomi. I'm sort of conscious of time, and I think people are sort of fascinated. I'm hoping everyone's going to pick up a magazine and look at it in a slightly different way after this. I certainly will be. And actually, we're having a little competition in the well, not competition. We're creating some Christmas cards in the team as a staff thing, and I'm actually thinking, I wonder if I can have a go with some MT tape and create something festive as well. So it's fascinating. Thank you so much. I'm going to switch my camera back on and pop up.
So we'll remove the share of this video. Okay.
Excellent camera work. You've been amazing. Thank you so much. I wasn't supposed to do that. There we go. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. It's amazing. I think the photos is such a good way to bring. I think we've all probably, unless we're very, very youthful, everyone's got that box of photos somewhere in the house, and a way to bring them back to life, to represent them, is amazing. The art journal has blown my mind, so I really need to go and think about having a go at that. I've got lots of house magazines, not necessarily fashion ones, but thinking about how I could do something with that. So it's incredible. Thank you so much. We've shared your details already in the chat, so hopefully everyone has seen those, but we will share the recording in a few days' time. I think the recording is being a bit temperamental, so we'll work that out, and we'll share that with everybody that's registered. So if you have registered and you've got anyone else that you know that registered that couldn't attend tonight, we'll share it out as soon as it's ready, and it will also go on our YouTube channels with our other workshops as well. So please, if anyone has a go with washi tape, I'm sure, Naomi, you'd love to see it, and I'd love everyone to share it with us. We've got a hashtag #CultPensCreative on social, and if you look for Naomi Vona, you will find Naomi's website, Instagram. You will find her without fail. So please do have a go, and as ever, we love to see any of your creations. So thank you very much. Please share with us, and we will be updating you soon on some more workshops coming soon. So this is the end of our session, and I will be closing the webinar shortly. I'll just do a quick check and make sure I've answered all the questions, so we don't leave any of you hanging, and if there's anything I can't answer, I will come back to you. So thank you very much again, Naomi. Fascinating.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing more of your work, and I hope everyone has a go and we get to see lots of everyone else's creations as well. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.